Imagine moving to the UK, you've spent years studying English, but you still can't understand the people around you. Why is that? Let's talk about it. Hey up mate, and cheers for finding this video today. I appreciate that. If you're new around here, my name is Dan, I'm a British English teacher and I'm here to help you feel more confident when you're communicating in English. Now, a huge problem that students I work with face is they move to the UK and their English is pretty good, but the English they've learned is not the same as the English that they hear every day from the people around them. And that's usually because the people that they are surrounded by have got their own accent and their own dialect, and that can be pretty confusing. So that's the topic of today's episode. So let's jump in. So should you bother learning the local accent when you live in the UK, right? This is a common thing. A lot of people think, oh, I don't care about learning accents. I don't care about, trying to change my accent. And I don't believe you should try and change your accent, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about learning the local accent. Because whether you like it or not, most people in the UK don't sound like they're on BBC. We all got different accents and dialects and stuff. So the short answer to this question is yes, you should. But let's talk about why you should, okay? The first thing learning the local accent will do is it makes it easier to understand local people, right? If you understand their accent and their dialect and why they say things the way they do, and you understand what they're saying when they do that, it's going to be way easier for you to connect, and you're going to feel more like you're part of a community, and it helps to build rapport with the people around you and stops you feeling like a proper loner, an outsider. So basically, learning the local accent is going to help you integrate into your new community, right? That's pretty cool if you ask me. The next thing it's going to do, it's going to build confidence and trust with people that you meet. Now, if you can try to just add a little bit of the local accent and dialect, if you can use a few local words, or you can say a couple of things that sounds like a local, the people around you will absolutely love it. If somebody speaks to me and they've started to develop a bit of a Sheffield accent, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I appreciate when somebody's making an effort to learn my language, even more if they're going to try and learn that specific part of the country where I'm from, and that's going to help you feel better. You're going to feel more included. You're going to feel better about your abilities, and that's going to build your confidence, and that's good, isn't it? That's good. And then the last thing it's going to do is it's going to make your daily life conversations way easier. Understanding all the weird stuff that people do, like all the slang and the contractions and the grammar and the pronunciation and all the weird stuff that's going on. If you actually understand all that stuff, your daily life conversations are going to be way easier, which means you can communicate better with people, which means you're more likely to make friends and, all that good stuff. So these are all reasons you should learn some stuff. Now, I'm not saying you have to completely abandon your accent and suddenly sound like everybody else, but what I'm saying is just incorporating a little bit goes a long way, yeah? So a lot of questions come next then. It's like, why do accents matter? So what? You guys have got an accent. What difference does it make? Well, in the UK, accents actually play a big role in communication between people. One reason accents really matter is they're tied to the local culture. The accents and the dialects are usually closely related to the history and the culture of that area. Going back to my neck of the woods, Sheffield, there's a lot of influence from like Celtic languages and Vikings and Nordic languages and that kind of stuff. And a lot of that history, because, it's one of the places that the Vikings came to. Like Yorkshire and especially Scarborough and these places near the coast, like it's part of our heritage, it's part of our history. And what you'll find, especially in Yorkshire, Jesus Christ, especially in Yorkshire, people are quite proud of their local heritage. And that includes the history, that includes the culture, and that includes the language and the dialect and the accent, much more so than nationality at a country level. Ask anybody from Yorkshire, they'll be proud to tell you they're from Yorkshire. If you ask them, are you proud to be British? The answer is going to be a bit more mixed. For some reason, we care way more about the city or the town or the village that we grew up in than like national pride, generally speaking. So accents matter because they're tied to that kind of thing. So it's kind of representation of that, which is good. Another thing that's really important is that it has class implications. Now, the UK has got, let's say, a class issue, okay? And if you're not sure, class is basically a way that we invented to be racist to people who look the same as you, right? We look the same, but I need to find a new way to discriminate against you. And that's where we came up with the class system. And the class system is very deep-rooted in British culture. And there are a lot of nuances to class, right? Now, accents often come with stereotypes. And that stereotype can affect the way people see you and the way they treat you. Now, a good example of this is a Yorkshire accent, where I'm from, is considered quite a trustworthy, friendly accent. You know, if you want to cancel your contract for your phone, you're probably going to go to a call centre in Yorkshire because we've got quite a nice accent and we're quite trustworthy. But we're also considered a bit thick. Like, we're not considered smart people. I mean, obviously it's not true. It's a stereotype. I mean, I'm a very intelligent person. I don't know what you're talking about. But the point is, we're considered not so smart. We're considered good workers and we're considered honest and trustworthy, but we're not considered smart. And on the other hand, an RP accent, you know, Queen's English, is considered very posh and very well educated, but also probably somebody's quite snooty that thinks they're better than you, right? And this accent, through historical reasons and cultural reasons, can cause divides between different people. So if you end up in, I don't know, Liverpool and you've got a Queen's English accent, you might get some funny looks because people are like, who's this posh guy? Why is he here? He's not one of us. You know, that kind of thing. Now, this is a much deeper topic that we probably need to save for another episode, but accent and dialect matter because they do have class implications. It's important to know. Now, and this one, I'm going to have to say this every episode, I think. RP, or received pronunciation, is not the correct English. It's not the British English. There's no standard British English. They made RP as a way for rich people to have their own special accent growing up. Like, in the history of the UK, that's where it comes from. It's not geographically based, it's money based. And it was just a way of differentiating people with money, the people that didn't have money. But anyway, for some reason, this became the standard of English. You know, that's what got taught in textbooks and, you know, classes all over the world. So people assume it's correct and it's right. And if you look at any of the comments on my videos, people are like, oh, you should go back to school because you'd sound uneducated. Because I don't speak like the Queen. The RP accent that people come to expect from British people is actually complete bullshit. Honestly, about, I would say, less than 5% of the UK have this accent, right? So 5% of the whole country has this accent, but everybody thinks it's the correct one. There's no such thing as a correct. All the other ones have been around much longer than RP. So, yeah, I know people get taught RP, but that doesn't mean it's correct, okay? There's no such thing as a correct accent. They're all correct because they all exist. They're just different, okay? So these are reasons why accents matter. Now, this leads us to the question, how do you learn the local accent? Well, there's kind of 4 steps to do it, and it's pretty straightforward. Step 1 is you need to learn the rules. You need to learn the features of the accent and dialect. And the way you do this is you look online. You know, you look on Google, you look on YouTube, whatever, and you understand what are the differences between the accent you want to learn and, you know, textbook English. Or what words do they use? How do they pronounce things differently compared to the dictionary, for example, right? Those are the things that you need to know. You need to know how people in Birmingham say that sound. Okay, and once you know the rules and you kind of learn the different linguistic features of that accent, what you're going to do is you're going to do some searching. And what you're going to do is you're going to search for famous people that use the accent you want to learn. You know, for argument's sake, if you want to learn, I don't know, like a Liverpool accent, you'll look at like John Bishop and Stephen Gerrard and whatever. For Sheffield, where I'm from, you can look up Sean Bean. He's a famous actor that's got a Sheffield accent. Or Alex Turner, the guy from Arctic Monkeys, before he got famous, because he really lost his accent after they got famous. When they first started, he'd got a really strong Sheffield accent. Now he's famous, he sounds like he's from New York or something. It's a bit weird. Or there's that new kid, that like rapper guy. I don't know if he's a rapper. That musician called Youngblood. He's from Sheffield area, I think. Around Sheffield. Probably he's from Rotherham or Barnsley, but close enough to where I'm from. So anyway, you're going to find a couple of people who have got that accent that you want to learn, right? If it's a Geordie accent, for example, maybe you're going to look at Alan Shearer or Cheryl Cole or, you know, whatever it is, right? So find some people who've got the accent you want to learn. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find interviews with them, you know, like go on YouTube and just search like Sean Bean interview or whatever. And what you're going to do is you're going to listen to it a lot. You're going to listen to as many interviews as you can find. And what you're going to do is you're going to pay attention to the rules you learned in step 1. And you're going to try and notice them using those things. You know, if you notice that they say a certain sound in a certain way, listen for them saying it. And then you can kind of notice it and pay attention to it. And that's the first step to understanding it, is you've got to notice it before you can understand it, right? And then once you got to grips with listening to it and you're like, okay, I can understand, I can hear that sound, I can understand when they're using this expression, which is a bit different. Then after that, you can try it yourself with some shadowing. I talk about shadowing all the time on this podcast, but shadowing is where you basically listen and repeat to what you're watching, right? So you find an interview with the famous person, you listen to a sentence, you pause it, and you try and copy it, you try and repeat it, especially paying attention to the language features from step 1 that you've noticed, right? And yes, shadowing is really, really powerful. Now, one thing about the UK is that we've got loads of accents, like 50 different accents or whatever. There's loads of them. And they've all got different features and different techniques that get used, right? So I've actually made a free guide for you lot. It's a free PDF that you can download. And it's called Navigating British Accents, right? And what it is, it's kind of an introduction to different techniques that are used in different accents around the UK. Totally free. The link is in the description. You can get it now. And it'll talk about things like glottal stops, and it'll tell you about things like the bath trap split, which is really important as well. So like I said, it's totally free. You can get it now, and it'll help you understand the accents, and it'll give you a step towards doing step 1 when it comes to how to learn an accent. And now it's over to you. What is the most difficult accent you've ever had to try and understand in English? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to know even more about British accents, I suggest you check out this video next.